I lied about working Thanksgiving so I could sit outside my parents' house and see if anyone noticed I was gone. I got my answer in 20 minutes, and it wasn't the one I was braced for. I'm 34, I dispatch for an ambulance service, and I'm the quiet one in a family of loud people. My sister Deanna talks over everybody. My dad Frank tells the same 3 stories about the shop he ran for 26 years. My mom Judy cooks for 15 when 9 are coming. For 6 years, I'd been convinced they didn't want me there. Nobody ever asked me a question. I'd sit at the end of the table on my phone, then drive home and complain to my wife Erin about how her family at least pretends. She kept saying it wasn't as bad as I thought. I kept saying she didn't have to live it. So this year, I ran an experiment, which is a generous way of saying I did something petty. I told everyone I picked up a holiday shift. Double pay, can't say no. I dropped Erin off at 2 with a pan of stuffing and said I'd get her at 8. Then I parked down the block under the Kowalski's maple and watched the front window like some guy about to get arrested. Here's what I expected. I expected them not to mention me. I expected the afternoon to run smoother without the sulking guy at the end of the table, and I expected to feel vindicated about it. Instead, I watched my dad take my wife out to the garage to show her the bench grinder he rebuilt. She stayed out there 20 minutes asking him questions, and he was standing straighter than I'd seen him stand in years. Then I watched Deanna and Erin on the couch with their heads together for an hour. My sister, who I decided years ago just didn't like me. Erin told me later that Deanna cried about her divorce and said she wished she could talk to me like she used to, but I always look like I'm counting the minutes. That's the part that got me. Not that they loved my wife, that she walked into the same room I'd been walking into for 6 years and got a completely different family out of it because she gave them something to hold, and I gave them the top of my head while I scrolled. They weren't cold. I was. I'd just been calling it shyness for a decade because shyness lets you off the hook. I was still sitting there working that out when my phone buzzed at 4:40. It was Erin. Your mom just told me something. Please come. I am not going to be the one who tells you this. I called and she wouldn't say it over the phone. She just said, come inside, in a voice I'd only heard once before, when her grandfather died. I drove around the block so it wouldn't look like I'd been sitting there. I walked in with my jacket on and everybody looked up, and my mother's face did this thing, a collapse with a smile pasted over the top of it, and she said, you got off early. Erin took my hand and didn't let go. Mom had a biopsy scheduled for the 2nd week of December. She'd found it in September and sat on it for 2 months. She told the room that afternoon because she wanted it done in one breath with everyone there, and she'd waited an hour past when she meant to, in case I showed up. She told Erin in the kitchen because Erin was the closest thing to me in the house. I have never been so ashamed in my life. Not because I skipped, because I engineered a situation where my mother handed the worst news of her life to her son through his wife, while I sat in a truck 200 feet away, deciding whether these people deserved me. I stayed until midnight. I asked my dad about the grinder. I let my sister talk. I did dishes with my mother, and neither of us said anything meaningful, and it was still the best hour I'd spent in that kitchen since I was a kid. Before I left, she opened the microwave and handed me a plate wrapped in foil, my name on masking tape across the top. She said she makes me one every year I work. 6 years of plates. She'd never once mentioned it. I just never came inside to find out.